channel. My name is Becca. I am a 9-to-5 work girly, writer, content creator, and I'm in the process of currently writing my second book. It is what I have been calling Project Eden for the time being, and it is a 90s East Coast autumn ghost story. If you want to read like a very work in progress little blurb about the book, I will have it linked in the description down below. If you're not new, hi. So good to see you again. I am starting this vlog rather chaotically, so forgive me if my energy seems a little manic. I have been very anxious the last few days, and it's making me hot and uncomfortable. Let's go ahead and kick this off with a little bit of a writing update. I have a deadline, a self-imposed deadline to finish this book by mid-May. Also, I am not a published author yet. Manifesting that for myself. I have a deadline to finish this book by mid to late May. I think we're on track to hit that. I have about 75,467 words in the draft right now. I have a goal of about 90,000, and I think I have about 2 weeks left to hit that number. Now, I am less preoccupied with hitting 90,000 and more preoccupied with finishing the last 5 chapters that I have and getting them to a really good spot. I think this draft is definitely an improvement on the first draft that I did. Leaps and bounds. There's story structure here. There's a little bit more character internality. Like, there's a lot more happening here, but it's still a long way from done. I think what I'm gonna have to do with revisions is really refine my first few chapters. I think they're way too bloated. I think my debate portion is happening a little too late in the story compared to everything else that I have set up. But I think some wins are that in my first draft, I did not do Act 2 Part 2 like at all really. So I did get to flesh that out a lot more. So I have, I think, about 6 chapters for Act 2 Part 2. They do need work, but they are pretty strong, and I'm very happy with that. Would love to hit 90,000, that's awesome, but I really just want to get the book to a good spot. If that's a little less, I doubt it. It's probably going to be a little more. So with that out of the way, I do want to do a little bit of a reading update because I feel like I haven't done this in a minute. First book I finished in April, Sunrise on the Reaping. Suzanne. You will be hearing from my therapist and from my lawyer because what the hell was that? In all honesty, it was such a good book. If you follow my Substack, I also did a little bit more of an in-depth review over there, in-depth. But I thought I did such a wonderful job recontextualizing, I think, the rest of the series and really highlighting the fact that a lot of work and sacrifice went into Katniss becoming this catalyst for the rebellion, and my god, I think I have a way deeper appreciation for Haymitch now. Like, I don't think he drank enough. And then I'm currently reading Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury. Obviously, I've been loving it. Oh, my camera's about to die. Okay, we'll go through this really quickly. This has oddly enough been a really big inspiration for Project Blue in terms of themes. It's not as depressing as everyone says it is. I think there's a lot of nuggets of hope and wisdom in here, and everyone should read this book as an adult. Lastly, my next read is going to be Lost and Lassoed by Lila Sage. I am not immune to a cowboy romance. I haven't read a romance book in I don't know how long. I think it's been like 3 years, maybe 4. I think The Love Hypothesis was what kicked off my reading kick all over again. The cover got me, guys. I can't lie, the cover got me, but I'm very excited to read this. I'm going to work for a little while longer, and then I will check in with you guys when we do a lunchtime writing session, and I will also be sharing a little bit of Project Eden. It's 12:35. I have been like in a work groove. There's a lot of like very little tasks that are just piling up. I'm like not mentally prepared to switch from writing to work mode. Sorry. See what I mean? I'm not like mentally prepared to switch from work mode to writing mode and then back into work mode. But we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it and it's gonna be fine, even if the words are not my best. That's okay. Okay, so not bad. In the 30 minutes, I wrote 454 words, and I was able to incorporate scenes, probably like a scene or two from my old draft into this chapter. I think I was also hesitant to do this writing session because I would have had to start a brand new chapter, and I didn't feel like going back and editing the end of the last chapter. I did have to go back and read it a little bit to understand, like, okay, what was the lesson that I had Peter learn? Which there will need to be some tweaks to, but we wrote 454 original words for that sprint, but the total word count for that time in total is 1,994 words, which puts me at 77,459 words in the draft. And it puts me way over my 1,400 word goal for the day, so that's awesome. I'm at this weird point where I'm both looking forward to drafting and also like having to mentally prepare for, I think, the emotional toll that it's going to take on me. And I think that it's only going to get worse because as I refine the character arcs and I'm writing these scenes where I know the general gist of the sort of introspection and reflection that they're meant to be having, but I don't think that I think it's going to have to be when I go in and do those character studies and really refine these even further that I'm going to have to get really specific with the words that I'm using and the way that I am framing the scenes. Right now, I kind of have them in this mix of between like a bird's eye view and like a very pushed in lens sort of way. I'm so sorry if that doesn't make sense. I'm playing around with when to push in and pull out. I'm hoping that a lot of it holds up when I go back and do this next round of revision, but for the most part, I'm like pretty happy with where I'm at. Oh my God. I may actually finish this before my deadline. That's crazy. Again, edits need to be made. I want to go through and give this like a really quick pass before I print out the next draft, but I'm like really liking so far how this is shaping up. It definitely has a lot more weight to it than the first time I wrote it. Okay, so I also know that I promised you guys that I would read a passage from Eden, and because I don't want to give too much away, and because I've also been watching Alyssa's videos, which if you're not following Alyssa, you are truly missing out. But her last few videos, she was talking about how much she hated setting and how much she just like did not include that in her writing. Whereas me, I linger on the setting. I feel like it's one of the places where I do kind of thrive a little bit. So I wanted to read 1 to 2 passages of setting description that I did just because I think it would be a fun exercise. So each passing pane of glass was a portal, each life a different color against the canvas. Overhead, the trees and their branches cut into bright blue, puffs of white drifting lazily across. The cobwebs from the iron street lamps shivered as the world exhaled and a gust of wind threatened to whisk it away. Though she had not taken stock of Eden's beauty in the afterlife, she wondered if she felt the weight of it when she was alive. That open nerve that seemed to run along the street, so palpable she could almost touch it. Magic, small and fragile, but it radiated from every pore of that place. Again, needs work, needs refinement. I've been slowly chipping away at it. But I do really like that scene, like that description of Eden. There's this other one that I wrote about the Middleton house that I thought was really good to start with. The wind howled through the hallway stretching before him, his gaze trailing up the stairs to the maze of rooms on the second floor. 1 foot in front of the other, he descended into the beast's belly. It groaned all around him, the stomach lining stretched thin with the shadows of portraits long gone. The house had not fed in such a long time, growing more sinewy as time sucked what little meat remained from its bones. I used time twice in that sentence. I think I could get rid of it in the first. So it could be like the house had not fed in so long, growing more sinewy as time sucked what little meat remained from its bones. It needs refinement. But I do kind of like the imagery there. Oh, man. But I think that might be all of the writing that I get done today because I actually have a meeting after hours at 7 o'clock tonight, and I slept wrong and my shoulders and my neck hurt. So I think I'm just gonna take it easy the rest of the day. I may vlog a little bit here and there. Don't know if I'm gonna write tomorrow because I'm gonna be in office. So this week might be a little tough. I've done a lot of overwriting. I've blown through my word goals the last couple days, so that's helped. We are officially 12,500 words away from possibly the end of this story, which is pretty exciting. Anyways, I will catch up with you guys later. Hi guys, welcome to Tuesday. Don't be fooled. I am not writing, I am brainstorming. I did not get many words in at all. But I wanted to talk about something that's kind of been on my mind lately, and I'm a little nervous too, if I'm being frank. But since apparently my whole online brand has become vulnerability and transparency, I thought, why not? But I have been feeling really conflicted about posting to YouTube lately. I think just posting any part of my life on social media, and I think that stems from the fact that, I don't know, as I get older, I start thinking about the implications of what I'm doing. And as much as it's fun to post online and exercise is part of my brain that I don't typically get to exercise, and be creative in a new and fun way, and grow a community of people that genuinely are interested in what I'm doing, that is incredible. But there's also this part of me that feels like I'm not good enough to do it. I'm not a good enough writer to be talking about this book that I'm writing, even though I never said I was a professional. I'm just sharing my journey with it. I don't know. I go through phases where I want to private everything and just go hide in a hole and write my books in peace, but I don't. And I'm not sharing this because I want pity. I'm sharing it just because there's a lot about posting to social media that you don't really think about until you're in it for a while. One of my videos recently got 15,000 views, and the thought of that many people seeing me was really scary. I can't explain it. It's man, I worked really hard for that, and that's the kind of result that I've always wanted, but I also have a lot of really conflicting feelings about it. So I don't have a solution, and I'm not saying it's going to get better overnight or even in a few weeks. I think this is just kind of the nature of it, and I'm trying my best to separate myself from it a little bit, but I feel like I would be disingenuous if I didn't talk about it at least a little bit. Hi guys, welcome to Wednesday. As I was editing the video up until this point, I realized I didn't touch on something quite obvious that I put in the literal intro of this video, and that was the fact that Cody and I got to meet in person. I had such a lovely time getting to meet him and Clark. They came to Chicago for the Charlie XCX concert, and we just took the opportunity to have a writing date together, see each other for dinner. I obviously vlogged a little bit of it, as you saw in the beginning, but the footage where he and I talk in the car got corrupted, so there's no audio. But it was so lovely getting to meet Cody. He is just as sweet as you would imagine him to be. I don't know, it was a real pinch me moment getting to meet someone, my first real AuthorTube friend in the flesh, with someone that he loves and cares for very much, his husband Clark. It was very sweet, and I'm glad we got to do it, and hopefully we get to do it again really soon. I wanted to just have a little bit of a heart-to-heart, if I'm being completely honest, because here's the thing. I wanted this to be a writing vlog, and I felt very optimistic about all of the writing that I was going to be doing in the next few days, but I think in my gut I knew that that wasn't going to be the case, and I was trying to be optimistic because May for me is very, very busy for the first time, both personally and professionally, and it is something I am so incredibly grateful for. But I have a habit of stressing myself out and overthinking things, and was doing really well in April because I planned out all of my videos, and so that helped me kind of stay on track. But the balance that I have right now between writing and YouTube and work and life, it's quite delicate. It exists, but it's quite delicate because I rely on the weekends to help me get ahead on filming. Usually I'll only film like a weekend in my life or something like that. I don't really have that right now because my weekends are pretty packed. And I mention this because we are literally on the way to go pick up my mother-in-law from the airport because she's flying in for Mother's Day. And I don't know what I'm gonna do for next week's video, because here's the thing. As insecure as I can get about my videos and my content and my writing and stuff like that, I still thoroughly enjoy uploading and talking to all of you and like conversing in the comment section. I get some of the most beautiful comments, and I remember thinking for years about getting the sort of engagement that I do right now. I am going to push through my own imposter syndrome and insecurity and do the thing that genuinely does make me happy. I'm the one stressing myself out. I think I say all that to say that if the rest of this video, or if this video as a whole, isn't very writing centric, I'm sorry. This turned out to be more of a life in my 30s video. Some people don't like lifestyle content in writing centered channels, and unfortunately, you know, it is my channel and I get to structure it the way that I want, and so I'm gonna structure it the way that I want. And I've always wanted to share parts of like my personal life and what it's like being in my 30s doing what I'm currently doing. I guess this is a little bit of a pep talk for me as well, as well as a catch-up session. Yesterday, I went to a Women in Philanthropy event here in Chicago, and it was nice. It was nice to kind of break up my usual like day-to-day monotony. I went with some of my coworkers, and it was a beautiful day in the city. We basically was just like walking around the entire time. Spring in Chicago is one of my favorite seasons because everything is blooming and everything is like very bright and vibrant, and so I'm just gonna be hanging out with my husband and my mother-in-law for the next few days. I do think on Friday in the morning we will be doing one more writing session for this video, which brings me to something else that's kind of been like on my mind when it comes to writing, and that is that I am down to the last like 5 chapters. I'm starting to wrap everything up. I'm in Act 3, and I'm actually a little nervous. I'm like a little scared because I want to wrap it up well, but the ending of this book has felt so elusive. Like, I know the broad strokes of how I'm getting there. Part of the reason this is also challenging is because I don't have the emotional payoff, because the book has just been so centered on structure, and to me, Act 3 is just so much about emotional payoff that I think I'm having a really hard time connecting and envisioning what needs to happen here. Like, again, broad strokes, details, not so much. So I think Act 3 for this draft will probably be very underwritten. I'm not sure. We will cross that bridge when we get there. My camera battery is dying, as it always seems to be, but this is my update. Hope you guys are having a good day, and I will check in with you probably Friday morning. Okay, I'll see you then. Hi guys, welcome to Friday. It is a little bit past 10:30. I'm going to make this check-in really quick because I'm actually off work early today to go to a family event, and I want to make sure that I finish up all my work, but I also wanted to close out this vlog while I'm in between tasks. I did have a virtual writing session with Mick this morning. I got about 1,400 words into the draft, which is great. It's the first time I've written in days, and I kind of just, I don't want to say I came to the realization, but I was just like, you know, I'm in Act 3 now, and this act has always proven to be one of the trickier ones for me, so I spent some time kind of brainstorming how I wanted to close out the story. I think I mentioned this before, but I was noticing that I was having a really hard time closing out Act 3 because a lot of the emotional payoff wasn't there, because I have tweaked some things even just from like the last few writing sessions that I had, so I had to stop and think through of like, okay, with the way that I want the story to go, how would I want this Act 3 to kind of look like? So that helped a lot. I managed to get a pretty decent writing session in. I got like 3 30-minute sprints. I also came to the realization that I now know what the heart of my story is. I think I always knew symptoms of it before. I've always talked about how this story is very much about vulnerability and Peter's journey to be vulnerable and asking ourselves, like, if we could do things differently, like, would we? But the real true heart and soul of this story is about a young person learning to unlearn a lot of the guilt and shame that they've kind of instilled in themselves growing up. It's a lot about learning to let go of our past mistakes and learning to forgive ourselves in order to be able to like move forward. So I felt like that opened up a lot of things mentally for me for the story. I'm really excited to jump into Act 3 and also Draft 3 with that core component in mind. And I think it's just really interesting how like the further you get into a story, the more things sort of reveal themselves. And even if you think you know everything at the beginning, there's always something to learn throughout the process. So I am kind of nervous to finish it, but I know it's going to feel good once it's done. So that brings us to the end of the vlog. I hope you guys enjoyed. I always hope you guys enjoy. If there's anything that you want to see from me, I'm always open to suggestions in the comments down below. If you made it all the way to the end of the video, leave this emoji. I don't know what it is yet, but you will know because I will have put it on the screen. As always, thank you to everyone who watches, who supports, who comments, who engages. That is literally the highlight of my day whenever I get a comment from one of you guys on a video. As always, feel free to leave whatever project you're working on, where you're at, what you're struggling with, what your win of the week is in the comment section down below. But until next time, I am rooting for you. Bye.